Listen to that. That's silence. Uncomfortable, isn't it? As if something were missing. As if, in the absence of the noise, you had lost something or someone. That reflection is not a phone. It is a modern soma, a drug so perfectly integrated into the fabric of modern existence that calling it addiction sounds almost quaint. It is the wallpaper of modern life. In 1932, Aldous Huxley imagined a society perfectly controlled by a drug called soma, a pill that offered all the benefits of religion and alcohol without any of their drawbacks. It kept the population happy, docile, and, above all, distracted from any deep questions about their own freedom. We thought it was a warning, a fiction, but look around you. Look at your hand. What are you holding? Or, better yet, what is holding you? The eye image fades, replaced by a slow-motion shot of a hand reaching for a phone on a nightstand. The hand moves with the mechanical, unconscious precision of an addict reaching for a needle. Part 1. The second intoxication. We have spent months, years on this channel, dissecting the ancient enigma of alcohol. We've mapped its spiritual, neurological, and epigenetic sabotage. We've built protocols to break its 10,000-year-old contract. But there is a second intoxication, a more recent, more insidious invasion. It arrived not in a bottle, but in a polished rectangle of glass and aluminum. It promised connection and delivered the most profound isolation the species has ever known. I am Napoleon Inspires, and today we perform the autopsy on the second grifter, the one that holds your gaze for hours and leaves you feeling empty, the one that, unlike alcohol, never gives you a hangover, just a perpetual low-grade soul ache. We will not just diagnose. We will provide the exit strategy, because the digital soma is not going anywhere. But you can still walk out of the casino. Part 2. The design, addiction by architecture. Let's begin with a confession from the architects themselves. Asa Raskin, the man who invented the infinite scroll, later said, "I feel tremendous guilt. The infinite scroll is like feeding you junk food. There's always something else to see. It creates a kind of compulsion loop." Sean Parker, the first president of Facebook, admitted, "We needed to figure out how to consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. That meant giving you a little dopamine hit every once in a while." It's a social validation feedback loop. Exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with. Tristan Harris, a former Google design ethicist, called it a race to the bottom of the brainstem. This is not hyperbole. This is the architectural blueprint of every app, every platform, every notification. You're not using these tools casually. You are being operated by them through a system of psychological vulnerabilities mapped by the smartest minds money could buy, working to solve one single problem. How do we keep the eyeball on the screen? Alcohol was a clumsy, ancient key to the brain's reward center. The digital soma is a master key cut with laser precision by teams of neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, and AI algorithms. Part 3. The Neurological Hijack, Dopamine 2.0. Remember our discussion of the dopamine cartel? How alcohol floods the system with an artificial, unsustainable surge, bankrupting your natural motivation. The digital soma does this with a perfection alcohol could never achieve. Alcohol gives you a wave of dopamine, then it crashes. You feel the hangover. You know you overdid it. The body keeps score. The digital soma delivers dopamine in microdoses on a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. This is the same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. You pull the lever, refresh the feed, check for likes, and you never know what you'll get. Sometimes a boring post, sometimes a hilarious meme, sometimes a comment that validates your entire existence, sometimes nothing. This uncertainty is the hook. It keeps your dopamine system in a state of perpetual, hungry anticipation. You're not getting pleasure. You're trapped in a craving loop for pleasure that may or may not arrive. And because the doses are small and constant, there is no crash large enough to alert you. No hangover, just a slow, continuous leakage of your motivational energy into a bottomless digital ocean. You are not scrolling because you're bored. You are scrolling because your dopamine system has been recalibrated to expect a jackpot every 15 seconds. And reality, slow, textured, demanding reality, simply cannot compete. Part 4. The spiritual short circuit, the death of boredom. In the spiritual traditions, boredom is not an enemy. It is a gateway. Boredom is the space where the soul, unsatisfied with the distractions of the world, finally turns inward. Boredom is the pressure that drives you to ask the big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is this all about? The Digital Soma has declared war on boredom. It has filled every crack of silence with something to look at, something to consume, something to react to. There's no longer a gap between stimulus and response. The gap has been sealed with an infinite scroll. This is the spiritual short circuit. When you're never bored, you are never forced to confront yourself. When you're never alone with your thoughts, you never have to ask the uncomfortable questions. The Soma does the asking for you, and its answer is always the same. Keep looking. Keep scrolling. The answer is in the next post. But the next post never comes, because the answer was never in the feed. It was in the silence you avoided. Part 5. The attention fragmentation, the death of depth. Alcohol fragments your memory. The Digital Soma fragments your attention span. Before the Soma, a human being could read a book for hours, follow a complex argument, hold a single focus for an extended period. This ability, sustained attention, is the foundation of deep work, deep relationships, and deep understanding. The Soma has reduced the average human attention span to 47 seconds. We now swim in a sea of information, but we are incapable of drinking deeply from any single well. We skim, we scan, we swipe, we never dive. This has a devastating spiritual consequence. If you cannot hold your attention on a single thing, a sunset, a prayer, a conversation, your own breath, for more than a minute, you cannot have a genuine spiritual experience. Spiritual experience requires absorption. It requires the dissolution of the boundary between observer and observed. It requires stillness. The Soma has made stillness feel like torture. Because in stillness, there is no ping, no notification, no new hit, just you. And for a brain conditioned by the variable ratio reinforcement schedule, just you is the most boring, uncomfortable place on earth. Part 6. The comparison engine, the theft of contentment. Alcohol makes you say things you regret. The Digital Soma makes you feel things you aren't. Every scroll through Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook is a journey through a curated museum of other people's highlights. You see the vacation, not the debt. The marriage, not the argument. The success, not the struggle. Your primitive brain, which evolved to compare itself to the 150 people in its immediate tribe, is now comparing itself to 8 billion people, all showing you their best 1%. This is not a recipe for contentment. It is a formula for manufactured inadequacy. You're not unhappy because your life is bad. You are unhappy because your life, when held next to a professionally curated, filtered, and edited highlight reel of someone else's, feels insufficient. This feeling of inadequacy drives you back to the Soma for relief. You scroll to escape the feeling that scrolling created. The loop is perfect and perfectly invisible. Part 7. Why it's worse than alcohol. Let's be clear. This is not a competition. But if it were, the Digital Soma would win. 1. Accessibility. Alcohol, for most of history, required effort. You had to go somewhere, buy something, consume it in a specific context. The Digital Soma is in your pocket. It is the first thing you touch in the morning and the last thing you touch at night. There is no off switch. 2. Social acceptance. A person drinking alone at 10 a.m. is an alcoholic. A person scrolling alone at 10 a.m. is normal. The Soma has no stigma. In fact, the person who doesn't have a smartphone is often viewed with suspicion. The addiction is not just permitted, it is mandated. 3. No hangover. Alcohol punishes you. It gives you a headache, nausea, regret. The body sends a clear signal. That was too much. The Digital Soma sends no such signal. It just keeps taking quietly, constantly, until one day you realize you haven't had an original thought in years. There is no hangover because the poisoning is chronic, not acute. You're a frog in slowly boiling water. 4. It preys on children. Alcohol has age restrictions. The digital soma is handed to children as a pacifier. By the time a brain is fully developed, its reward circuitry has been sculpted by the soma's algorithms. The addiction is not acquired. It is imprinted from birth. Part 8. The symptoms of soma sickness. How do you know if you're infected? Not just using, but used by the machine? Look for these signs. The phantom vibration syndrome. You feel your phone buzz in your pocket. It didn't. Your nervous system is now so attuned to the possibility of a notification that it hallucinates them. The toilet scroll. You cannot perform the most basic bodily functions without the soma as company. You are never alone, even with yourself. The dinner table ghosting. You sit with people you love, and everyone is staring at a rectangle. The people are present. The connection is absent. The bedtime betrayal. You lie down to sleep, and instead, you scroll for another hour, trading rest for the hollow promise of one more hit. The memory hole. You cannot remember what you saw 20 minutes ago. The stream of information flows through you like water through a sieve, leaving nothing behind. The creativity vacuum. You sit down to write, to create, to think, and nothing comes. The well is dry because the soma has been siphoning your creative energy for years. Part 9. The exit strategy. Digital sovereignty protocol. Alcohol required a 90-day protocol. The digital soma requires something more radical. Not because it's stronger, but because it's everywhere. You cannot simply quit your phone the way you quit a bottle. You have to renegotiate your relationship with reality itself. Here is the digital sovereignty protocol. Week 1. The audit, days 1 to 7. Practice. Install a screen time tracker if you don't have one. But don't just look at the numbers. For 7 days, keep a digital leak journal. Every time you pick up your phone, note the time, the trigger, boredom, anxiety, habit, notification, the emotion before picking it up, the emotion after 30 seconds after putting it down. Purpose. You are becoming a scientist of your own compulsion. You're mapping the triggers that the algorithm has learned to exploit. Week 2. The boredom reclamation, days 8 to 14. Practice. Schedule boredom blocks. 20 minutes twice a day where you sit with no device, no book, no music, no stimulation. Just you and your thoughts. Do nothing. If anxiety rises, observe it. Do not flee. Purpose. You're desensitizing your nervous system to the absence of input. You're reopening the gateway that boredom always was. This will be uncomfortable. That discomfort is the withdrawal. Sit with it. Week 3. The notification neutralization, days 15 to 21. Practice. Turn off all non-human notifications. The only notifications you receive should be from actual human beings trying to reach you directly, calls, texts from known contacts. Everything else, news, apps, games, social media, is silenced. Forever. Purpose. You are reclaiming the right to give your attention rather than having it demanded by an algorithm. You are switching from a reactive relationship with your device to a proactive one. Week 4. The Sacred Space Initiative, days 22 to 28. Practice. Designate physical spaces where the soma is not allowed. The bedroom. The phone sleeps in another room. The dining table. The bathroom. Your meditation space. Purpose. You are creating analog sanctuaries, zones of reality where the digital cannot follow. These spaces become reminders that there is a world beyond the screen, and you belong to it. Week 5. The Dopamine Rehabilitation, days 29 to 35. Practice for 1 week. Replace your phone time with high-effort, low-dopamine activities. Read a physical book for 30 minutes. Take a walk without a podcast. Have a conversation where you put your phone in another room. Cook a meal from scratch. Purpose. You are retraining your brain to find reward in the slow, the textured, the real. You are reminding your dopamine system that joy can be earned, not just injected. Week 6. The Deep Immersion, days 36 to 42. Practice. Choose one activity per week that requires sustained, uninterrupted focus for at least 90 minutes. Write, paint, learn an instrument, solve a complex problem. During this time, the phone is not just silenced. It is in another building. Purpose. You are rebuilding the neural architecture of attention. You are proving to yourself that you can still dive deep, that the surface is not your only home. Week 7. The relationship repair, days 43 to 49. Practice. Have one conversation per day with someone you love where the phone is physically absent and visibly out of reach. Look at their eyes. Listen to the spaces between their words. Notice their face. Purpose. You are restoring the ancient technology of human connection. You are remembering that empathy is not an emoji. Week 8. The creative reclamation, days 50 to 56. Practice. Create something, anything. A journal entry, a drawing, a video, a garden, a meal, and share it with one person, not for validation, but for connection. Let creation, not consumption, be your primary mode of engagement with the world. Purpose. You are shifting from being a consumer of others' lives to a creator of your own. Week 9. The intentional reintroduction, days 57 to 63. Practice. Now, after 2 months of radical change, you can reintroduce the digital tool on your terms. Ask, what does this tool actually add to my life? If the answer is not clear and positive, delete the app. Forever. Purpose. You are no longer the addict. You are the sovereign user. The phone works for you now, not the other way around. Week 10. The analog expansion, days 64 to 70. Practice. Rediscover an analog pleasure you abandoned. Write a letter. Visit a library. Go to a park and just sit. Reconnect with the texture of the physical world. Let your senses remember what they've been missing. Purpose. You are building a life so rich, so textured, so engaging, that the flat, glowing rectangle loses its gravitational pull. Week 11. The community's sovereignty, days 71 to 77. Practice. Invite one other person to join you. Not to preach, but to share. Say, I've been working on something. Want to try a phone-free coffee with me? Led by example, not by lecture. Purpose. Sovereignty is easier in company. You are creating a microculture of presence that can sustain you when the world tries to pull you back. Week 12. The Sovereign's Creed, days 78 to 90. Practice. Write your own digital sovereignty creed, a one-paragraph declaration of your new relationship with technology. Read it every morning for these final 2 weeks. Example. I am a sovereign of my attention. My focus is not for sale. My presence is a gift I give only to what matters. I use tools. I'm not used by them. My life is not a stream to scroll, but a story to live. I am here, fully, now. Purpose. You are encoding your new identity into your subconscious. You are becoming the person who is not just not addicted, but who is sovereign by design. Part 10. The return to reality. The video returns to the image of the eye. But now, the reflection is different. No phone, just a vast, open sky. The pupil dilates slightly, as if drinking in the light. The Digital Soma promised you the world, and in a way it delivered. It gave you the whole world in a rectangle. But it took the one thing that made the world worth having, your presence. You cannot touch a pixel. You cannot smell a notification. You cannot hold a like in your hand. The real world, the one with texture, with depth, with silence, with the faces of people you love, has been waiting for you. It has not gone anywhere. It is patient. The question is not whether you can quit the Soma. The question is, what are you willing to come back to? The silence will be uncomfortable at first. The boredom will feel like a void. But if you sit with it long enough, you will hear something. Something that has been drowned out for years. Your own soul, asking quietly after all this time, are you finally ready to be here? The answer begins now. This is Napoleon Inspires. The Soma is not the world. The world is waiting. Go live in it.